say we love the alcohol, la 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 la. Just line 'em up and we will drink them all, la 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 la. But my mother always said, if you want to drink all day, you best start in the morning, son, 'cause that's the Irish way. We don't get drunk, we get awesome, and every other mother will agree. We don't get drunk, we get awesome, so order up around for you and me. We don't get drunk, we get awesome, and every mother must agree. We don't get drunk, we get awesome, so order up around for you and me, and you and me, and you and me. Let there be whiskey.
Hey, everybody. Welcome once again to Nerds with Alcohol. I am Russ.
And I'm Chris.
And this is episode 275?
275.
Holy shit. 275. What the actual fuck? It is a sort of a milestone, not a huge milestone, not a really weird wacky one, but any division of 25, always.
Yep. It seems like a big one.
It is a mark. It's a mark. It's not quite 250. 250 was a huge one, but
yeah, 300 is going to be huge because that's going to be real close to our 6-year anniversary too.
Correct. Welcome guys. For those of you guys have it was a little delayed was up because I didn't see that you went whew, and I didn't see it right away. Chris gives me a cue, so
a visual cue. I don't do the countdown like the 3, because you never say 2 or 1.
Yeah,
you always
I don't. Yeah, it's because of the audio or
yep.
whatever. But so anyway, thanks for joining us again, guys. Welcome once again welcome to those downloading us and listening to us after the fact. I hope you enjoyed the show. It is a lovely May 10th here in beautiful Detroit. We almost hit 80 degrees today.
Yeah, I'm actually upset that I had to close my window for the show because otherwise you'd hear the whole neighborhood going on outside, especially the dogs that are all around us.
Yeah, it's idyllic out there.
It is beautiful.
It has been gorgeous the last few days. Like it just started on Saturday getting beautiful. It just has gotten more and more gorgeous. I'm really happy that it seems like
you just like faded out, Russ.
Did I? Am I okay now?
Oh, there you go. Now you're coming back.
That's weird. I'm just glad that the weather is finally taking a turn, and if we knock on wood, it should be decent for the foreseeable future. I am hoping we might have turned a corner.
Yeah, tomorrow's supposed to be really nice, a little bit warm, but like today, but
low 80s,
good for golf.
Yeah,
well, it's supposed to be upper 70s again. It's actually supposed 70s? To be like a degree cooler than today, I think.
All right. Well, either way, man, I'm happy to have it.
The upper 70s. I'd rather have lower 70s.
Well, yeah, low. I mean, I like the mid 70s range, but overall, I'm just glad to be out of the cold, man. It's just seemed like a long season that really lingered,
Damn, 89 degrees for CD today. That would.
Wow.
Yeah, see, that's too hot for me. I don't like when it gets in the 80s. The 80s start getting too hot.
Yeah.
I'm built for San Diego weather. 70s all year round.
What was your week like? How are you doing?
Week was good. I'm really missing D&D, like a lot. I'm really looking forward to this week. So I've been doing a lot of work on that, getting things set up and ready for this this weekend. I printed out some stuff. You guys I might not need it for this week, but I'll need it coming up. So started doing some more printing again. Got back into that. Other than that, it's been a lot of work. Renee's birthday's coming up, so that'll be next week.
Awesome.
Yep. Went shopping at Total Wine on Saturday and walked in to get a couple things and walked out with $200 in booze. because
Phoebus.
dude, that place is you should go check it out for you if you're running low on cider ideas, go check them out because they have a huge array of ciders. They're actually they're generally cheaper than a lot of the party stores and stuff too. Even Kroger, like I can get a 12 pack of Two Hearted for $2 cheaper than I can get it at Kroger.
Well, all right. Where is it?
It's at M59 and Shaner. It's in the old Toys R Us at Lakeside.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it's a liquor
That's
store.
interesting.
It's a wine, beer, liquor, cider, all the stuff. It's an alcohol store. They turned it from a kid's toy store into an adult toy store. Well, wait. Let me rephrase that. It's not really an adult toy store. It is an adult party store. It's a giant store full of alcohol.
Exactly.
It's really cool.
Well, I will have to check that out.
Yeah, I like it a lot. It reminds me of Liquor Barn when I lived in Louisville.
Okay. I do feel like it does, like I do need to like maybe find some more options. You know, the liquor store I've been going to is usually got some really great excuse me, some really great selections, but I'm just kind of like just there hasn't been enough lately, or it's all the same old stuff, you know.
Mm-hmm. Well, this place I did find the pineapple cider, the Ace pineapple cider.
Yeah, you texted me. You did finally get a chance to try that.
Yep. I picked up a 6-pack of that. That's really good. And then it's one of those things where I'm walking around the store, I'm looking at stuff. I picked up a bottle of bourbon that I'll be showing off at gaming this week, which, yes, this week is our 40th episode for Tavern Nights. So I'll probably be opening the bourbon up. It's actually New Dragon's Milk bourbon. But walking down the aisle, I walked past this mid-aisle display and went, wait, is that what I thought? And I go back and look, and the Old Smoky, that company makes tons of flavored stuff. They've got cherries, they've got they got moonshine cherries, moonshine pickles, moonshine peaches. I mean, they basically,
I've seen them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, they also had moonshine banana pudding, and or banana pudding moonshine really is what this one is. It's a cream liqueur made with moonshine and banana pudding flavors. And
okay.
Banana pudding is one of my favorite things in the world. I have a hard time resisting it. I tend to overeat it when it's available because I just love it. So I'm like, okay, that has to go in the cart. And I've tried it, and it tastes like banana pudding that burns.
Nice. Like a pudding shot.
No, it's not as thick. I mean, I like pudding shots because they're actually pudding, but no, this just has that same flavor of the banana pudding. But it's also got that alcohol back that's really strong. It's only 35 proof, so it's like 17.5%, something like that.
Okay.
31 proof, something. Anyway, it's not that strong, but it's got that burn. That alcohol burn, but it's good, and I could sit and sip it. Really good, very cold, but I could sit and sip it for a good long while. But I also picked up some other beers, including one that I'm gonna be talking about later when we do that. But yeah, I'm a big fan of that store. It's just far enough away that I don't go there all the time, which is probably a good thing.
Probably wise, yeah.
Yeah. So how about you? How was your week?
Far away. Estella was away for a few days. She graduated with her master's, or she walked for her master's degree. She still has another like 3-4 weeks of work to do to finish up her thesis, and then she has to go back to Florida and present her thesis. So she'll be gone for about a week. So she was down there like Thursday, Friday, and then came home Saturday, and Saturday was free comic book day. Mm-hmm. So I was at my comic book shop in Garden City, A to Z Comics. And I did some face painting for the kids. I always go and face paint for the kids did a couple of little hands and arms too and stuff, and all the kids were good as gold this time around, man. No wigglers, and nobody like being difficult and everything. It was pretty cool. Made a couple of bucks, so that's nice. Richie takes good care of me, the guy that my buddy who owns the shop, and I got some tips, and so that was nice. And then it was funny. So I'm like, well, I was in Garden City, and so I had to pick Stella up from the airport about 8:30, and we were getting done around 7 at the comic shop. And I'm like, well, I'm not going all the way home and then to turn around and go all the way back, because the comic shop I was at, is only about 5 miles directly north of the airport. So I'm like, I'm going to kill some time. Like, I'm going to get something to eat. And then I was like, you know what? Fuck it. I'm going to swing into this one strip club that over by the airport there that I have always, I've only been in like once or twice. It's beautiful. And I was like, yeah, let's check it out. I haven't been in there in a long time. It's like I said, I used to work in the biz, so I like to like check out the club from time to time. I pulled in, I valeted my car, because you can only valet it, $8. I walk in, I'm wearing my biker jacket, and I'm like, of course they're gonna make you check your biker jacket. And the guy at the door is like, okay, we've got a cover, and you gotta check your leather. And I'm like, okay. And what's the cover? $25 was the cover.
Holy shit.
And I'm like, yeah. I'm like, I my jaw dropped. I was like, $25 for a cover?
I'd have been like, you know what? Like, I'll eat the $8 and I'm out.
I said, and then it was like another $8 to check my coat. God's know it's a minimum of $10 for a beer. And it wasn't like, it's probably not, it's probably just normal domestics too. So I was just kind of like, you know what? Thanks anyway. But I was only planning on hanging out for like an hour, having a beer, and then getting out of here. Thanks anyway. I turned around. They were like, yeah, it's cool. We get it, So I turned around and I walked back out. I'm like, hey, I'm not staying. Can get my car back. And I just said, listen, I'm just coming and going. Here's $5. They're like, yeah, that's cool, man. Thanks. And so then I got in my car, and I'm like, that was nuts. I mean, for somebody that like worked in the business for a long time, that's ridiculous. That is a ridiculous cover. I mean, for that amount, you should get at least a drink on the house. You should get, because from what I was talking to another friend of mine who still works in the biz, he's like, you at that club, you pay like $60 before you even talk to a girl, because you also, if you want to get a booth, you got to pay for the booth, and you got to do this and that. I'm like, fuck that noise, man. So I actually swung around and went into another, like a small little club for like an hour, and it was like $5 at the door, and it was and but it was just kind of funny, and I was like, what the fuck, $25, ridiculous. So that's the adult portion of the show, guys, ladies and gentlemen. So then I picked up Stella, and the funny thing, so she was supposed to get in at 8:30. She didn't get into like almost 9:30, and like Spirit Airlines, which all you got to say is, oh, it was Spirit Airlines.
Yeah.
They emailed her that the flight was going to be late when she was in the air and couldn't get email.
Of course.
So I'm like, I'm sitting there like with my, thumb in my ass, and I'm just kind of like, well, what the hell is going on? And she finally lands, and it's like, whatever. And I'm just like, what the hell? And she's like, I'm so sorry. I mean, it was late and everything. And I'm just like, well, it's not your fault, but man, I really wish they had told you, or they had, informed you, so you could have somehow informed. I don't know. It's just, it was kind of horse shit. So, but I just realized I'm still wearing my work jeans. So there was that
in here.
Oh, hello, Belmont. welcome to the show. So anyway, I got Stella back, and then so we headed home, and unfortunately, I didn't get a chance to go to Space Dive. which I'm kind of bummed out about, which is the big Star Wars party
Yep.
at
Tangent Gallery.
the Tangent Gallery, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. We were thinking about maybe going on Saturday when Stella got back, but then she was exhausted, and I was like, well, it's $30 a person, and the Comic-Con is coming up this weekend.
I'm still here. I'm gonna let Belmont out of the room.
Sure. So I was like, nah, maybe next year. And then
I'm here.
then I
want to go next year. Actually, I have never been to
it's a great time.
To
it
Space
really
Time.
is. It's a really great time. They got bands and they got burlesque performers and one of my friends wants to set up a sabak table next year so you can actually play the game. And,
Alexandra from Tavern Nights and her sister Anastasia went.
Yeah, I saw
pictures.
Yeah. So I saw lots of pictures. I had a bunch of friends went. It is costume mandatory, guys. So if you do plan on going next year, you gotta wear some kind of costume, preferably sci-fi oriented. But I saw a picture of somebody dressed as the Scarlet Witch. So okay. And the cool thing was, man, I saw some of my friends wore Star Trek, Starfleet uniforms. I was like, that's fucking fun. So
you get your ass beat, you do that kind of shit.
Nah, it was pretty cool. But the bummer thing, one bummer thing about the week is, and a friend of mine passed away last Sunday, like the Sunday before the most recent one, I think. Yeah, it was the Sunday before. And we found out. Wait, no. Today's Tuesday, Monday. It was a few days ago. Fuck it. And there's Tomac Baksic. Some of you guys that listen to the show might remember Tomac. Tomac actually had a booth at the Ren Fair for many years. He was a sculptor and he sold his resin copies of his sculptures in his booth. He had the Cathedral booth at that was right next to the Washing Wenches stage. And I've known him for pushing 30 years. He was a really great guy. I met him at the cons years ago. Used to see him at City Club, festival. I helped him. I spent a couple of days helping him cast. He had remember that big water fountain that was at the front gate for a while? It was like Greek goddess and Tritons and
I think so.
Yeah, it was all cast resin and it looked like marble. It was I got to help him cast a few of those pieces. And 51, he passed away unexpectedly. I did hear one friend that had said that he might have had leukemia and was like, so he had like a time limit anyway. But because leukemia, you can have leukemia for quite a while before you actually die. But I don't know all the details. So it was sad. I went out to his viewing yesterday, and Tomac was a hell of a guy. He was a really hell of a great guy, and I'm gonna miss him. So unfortunately, I'm not drinking tonight. Otherwise, I would raise a glass to him. But you can do it for me. To Tomac. Good journey. See you the next time around, man. So that was my week. Lots of ups and downs. So, but other than that, what are you drinking, man?
I am drinking something that I picked up at Total Wine. It is an IPA by Three Floyds, which is the best thing about Indiana. I've reviewed several other things. There's very little that I don't think I've had anything by them that I can say I didn't like. There may be some things I like better than others, but there's nothing that I haven't really liked. This one's called Rights of Ram, RAM. It's got some cool artwork on there, like they usually do. Very metal. Their artwork tends to be very kind of heavy metal-esque. If you look up, Russ, you can see the
I'm sorry, yeah. Oh yeah, right on. Back it up just a little. Back it up. Yeah, it looks great. It's cool.
But yeah, it's they got their usual. It's not normal on there. It says a battle-tested low ABV IPA built for the long, arduous road ahead. It is 5% ABV. It is a light golden color, mostly clear, little haze in it, but not a lot. It's got a very fruity aroma. I'm gonna take a sip here. I was drinking a Two Hearted earlier, and I think my taste buds are off a little for going with another IPA. But let me just take a sip here. That's a little bit better since I had some water. It does have. It's got some citrus notes. It's actually very light. It's It's got a very light mouthfeel. I think this would be a really good beer out at the grill as you're barbecuing some stuff up out in the sun. Just drinking this is a nice light refreshing beer. It finishes kind of dry, so it has that refreshing feeling to it. I like this one. I'll probably say this is probably about a 3.75. I definitely like it. If you like the lighter style IPAs, it's like I said, it's a light body, finishes dry with a nice finish to it. Yeah, I think if you dig IPAs, definitely check this one out. Rights of Ram.
Okay, very cool.
And you already said you're not drinking.
I'm not drinking tonight. I didn't have a chance to get anything new, and all I have got is the pineapple, the Ace Pineapple. I've got one more left. You did say that you got to try the Ace Pineapple and you liked it, huh?
Yes, I did like it. It has enough of the pineapple flavor, to make it so that it tastes good. There's still like a little bit of an underlying. It actually had like a little bit of an underlying apple flavor from what I could taste. So I think it is a mix of pineapple and apple juice. I haven't looked to double check that, but it had enough of the pineapple flavor to give me that satisfaction. While I can drink straight pineapple juice, it was good enough. It was probably the best pineapple cider that I've had, just pure pineapple.
Yeah,
because I do like Rainbow Seeker, but that sage makes a huge difference in its taste. So, but yeah, I definitely liked it. One of the other things I picked up that I've got sitting here is I had this last year, and I don't know if I actually reviewed it when I had it, but it is the Odd Sides. It's one of their fruitsicles. It's the blue raspberry lime. It's the Bomb Pop.
Oh, neat.
This one's actually no. You know what it is? Last year, and I didn't realize this. I thought I was picking up the seltzer because that's what I got last year was their Bomb Pop seltzer, and it was actually really good. I hate to say that any seltzer is good, but that was really good because it tasted like a melted Bomb Pop, and that was fantastic. This, however, is actually an ale, so I will be reviewing this later, not necessarily today, but in the future. And I got a new Dragon's Milk to try, and I got a bunch of stuff to go for the next couple of weeks. So.
Okay, awesome, cool.
I almost pulled out the banana pudding stuff tonight to review that, but I decided to go lighter. All
right. Well,
so we've got lots of stuff to talk about.
We do have a lot of stuff to talk about. Do you want to start with Moon Knight?
No, let's start with the big news that came out just actually yesterday, I think. In that they announced who the new doctor is going to be.
Yeah. Holy shit, right?
Yeah. So the doctor, he's from the show Sex Education. Which is a BBC show. And I'm sorry, I don't know how to actually properly pronounce his name. But it's Nkuti Gatwa, I think. Something like that. Anyway, he will be the first non-white actor to helm the show. He is black. He was born in Rwanda and raised in Scotland. So we're going to have another Scottish doctor, which I'm fine with. He's not the first black doctor, which I haven't watched all of the Jodie Whittaker episodes, so I haven't seen this yet. But I guess the first black doctor was actually brought in her shows where she meets another version of herself, played by Joe Martin, who I think I've seen her in other things. Another woman, it's a black woman. She's playing the fugitive doctor, which is a doctor that is basically hiding out from the Gallifreyans after helping them basically win a war, to where they became the Time Lords.
Mm-hmm.
And what's weird is that I guess in that the current doctor, the 13th Doctor, Jodie Whittaker, and has no recollection of that life, of that regeneration. Mm-hmm. And the fugitive doctor has no recollection of Jodie Whittaker. So there's no telling where in the timeline that actually falls, because they did that nice little thing where, oh, well, it's just one of those off things where, yeah, mind wiped. Oh, mind wiped. They talked about it in the last season. Okay.
All right. Well,
timey-wimey, yeah. I got to catch up on all the doctors.
Again, I've said this before. I've never been a big. Thanks, Renee. Thanks for Stella. She is working tonight, but I'll be sure to tell her that you said that. I have never been a big Doctor Who guy. I mean, I've watched a bunch of episodes. I've always enjoyed them when I watch them, but it's just one of those things. I just can't watch everything. So,
you're not a real Whovian. You're not a Whovian.
I'm not a Whovian. I'm not. I'm a Trekkie. I'm a Trekkie first. I'm a Star Warsian second, and maybe a Battlestar Galactican after that.
I like all of those, and Doctor Who. So I mean, I'm all those shows, and I'm really getting into Supernatural. Although I just started season 5, which is where CD said I can stop. So is after that.
Are you gonna stop? Or are you gonna keep going?
Well, I'm a completionist, man. I gotta put myself through the torture of the next 10 seasons.
You gotta, dude. You gotta. You have to do it, Chris. It's only right and proper.
Well, and you know what? And I'm sure that there are going to be gem episodes in those 10 seasons, and I have to watch every single one to find those 3 or 4 in every season.
You gotta find the ones with what's her name from the Guild.
Oh yeah, Felicia Day.
You gotta find the ones that I think Will Wheaton's in an episode. You gotta find all of them, man. It's great. You're going to be watching those shows and go, oh, that's that woman from this show that I really like. And
dude, I'm doing that now, which we're going to talk about that, something like that, because I recognize somebody when we talk about Strange New Worlds later. But yeah, I do that all the time.
Exactly. But you are liking Supernatural so far?
Yeah, I do. I do like it.
Only watched the first season. I am going to get around to watching it. It is a decent show, I've heard. It just excuse me. The fan base became very female centric because the 2 male main lead characters. There are a lot of good looking men in the show. So I think they tended to market it very much towards a female audience and for a long time. But it's still, once again, I always heard it was a great show. So I get around to watching it.
Mm-hmm.
Fucking read any gin and tonic?
Yeah, we'll talk about it later.
Okay. All right. So
Renee's throwing spoilers out there.
Okay, good. Good luck to the new doctor, though. I think that's going to be really great. It's about damn time, honestly, that we had a doctor of color. So,
But yes, I'm looking forward to it. I want to get back to it. I still have to finish. I stopped watching after the first season of Capaldi, so I really have a lot to catch up on. I got to watch all of Capaldi, and then came back for Jodie Whittaker, watched her first season, and then fell off again. Part of it is because it wasn't streaming, and I didn't have cable anymore, so I couldn't watch it without buying it. And I never actually went around and bought it. And I probably should have. I should have just kept buying the seasons and watching them. But and yes, I want good writing too. I think it's going to be good with what's his name taking back over, Russell T Davies taking back over. I think we're going to get back to the old style Doctor, and hopefully away from it being about the companions. That was where I kind of fell off with even with the Matt Smith era. It was all about Amy. It was all about Amy Pond.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, the show is called Doctor Who, not Amy Pond or the Doctor's Companions. I understand they're important to him. They keep his humanity. They help him keep his humanity, but the show is still about the Doctor, not about them. And when you make the intro about the girl who waited, or the impossible girl when it comes to Capaldi and things like that, that's where I had a problem with it. And I felt that the show was going in the wrong direction, at least for me.
All right.
But yes. So, yeah. So, what do you want? Where do you want to go from there? Do you want to go with Moon Knight? Do you want to go with? Do you want to do? Do you want to do the non-spoiler Doctor Strange?
Yeah, let's real quick do the non-spoiler Doctor Strange. So, Doctor Strange: Multiverse of Madness opened on Friday. I got a special sneak preview on Wednesday.
I saw it on Thursday.
You saw it on Thursday. It was. We don't want to go into, because it just came out. We don't want to go into spoilers, but I will say the $460 million worldwide, $187 million and domestically, means it's a pretty fucking successful film. There were some people that were talking, shit about it. There was that it, was some people thought it was disjointed, and some people thought it wasn't. No, man, no, bro. This is some people were saying this was going to be one of those missteps in the Marvel in the newest Marvel movies. No, this was a big success. I'm going to pull up the Rotten Tomatoes score, and it was the Rotten Tomatoes score for Doctor Strange: The Multiverse of Madness. Put my cap lock on. 75% at tomato meter, and the audience score is 87%. That's pretty fucking fantastic. It's number 7 for an opening weekend for a Marvel movie. So doing pretty goddamn good. It was fun. In my opinion, it was screamingly a Raimi movie.
I will say that was one of the things you had told me, that it's very Raimi, and that was all you were going to say. And I watched it, and when I got out, I'm like, yes, that's a very, very Raimi movie. Yeah. I mean, he's one of the few directors whose visual style I can see in a movie. If you don't tell me who the director is, and I watch a Raimi movie, I can probably pick out that I may go, is this Sam Raimi? Because. Sure.
He has some very distinctive camera tricks that he does, some very distinct things that he does.
Well, and I saw like a lot of, not really homages, but I saw a lot of influence from and snippets from other movies that he's done. I mean, there's little bits of Evil Dead, there's little bits of Drag Me to Hell, there's little bits of Spider-Man. There's little bits of all of those movies. His old car
always makes an appearance in every movie he's made, and it also shows up in this one.
You know what? I
We
didn't
also-
look for the car. I meant to look for the
A
car.
friend of mine pointed it out to me. When he goes to the dimension that's obviously been destroyed, you see it, I guess, in the background. We do have a Bruce Campbell cameo, which
Of course.
I'm not spoiling anything because that was known. People knew he was going to be in it. And it's great. It's a great little cameo.
There's only one Sam Raimi movie he's not in, and it's because he wound up on the cutting room floor.
Which one is that?
The Quick and the Dead.
Oh yeah. Which is too bad because Bruce did a really great turn as a cowboy in
Briscoe County.
Briscoe County.
Well, and that's the thing. I guess he just showed up on set. I read the book in If Chins Could Kill. He talks about it, and he talks about Bruce Campbell does. He talks about showing up on set and Sam going, "Oh, I'm glad you're here. I got this. I want you in this. Go to wardrobe." And they get him all dressed up, and he winds up in this bar fight, in this saloon fight. He's like, and he's talking about how he just gets his ass kicked, and then Sam cut the entire scene.
Of course. So anyway, back to Doctor Strange. I'm looking at 187.4 million domestically, something like 460 something worldwide altogether. That's a really great opening, and it's looking like it's probably going to do pretty well. It was a lot of fun. We can't, like I said, we can't go into a whole lot of.
We can't go into a lot, but what I'm going to say is, the first half an hour, 45 minutes, I was meh on the movie. And then after that, I started really getting into it. I thought it picked up really well after that. But the first 45 minutes or so is, I think, too much too fast. And they should have had 2.5 hours total for the movie instead of 2 hours to expand that out a little bit and slow it down just a little bit.
I did read that his first cut, his original cut, the director's cut is 2 hours, is 35 minutes longer.
Which probably would have been the right amount. Yeah.
It actually would have put it at about 2 hours 40 minutes.
Yeah, 240. But yeah,
which is on the longer side for a Marvel movie.
It is, but
I would have been happy with it.
Well, yeah, I thought the first 45 minutes was they tried packing too much in. It wasn't quite Spider-Man 3, but it was up there with trying to cram too much into a short space.
Okay.
But the rest of the movie saved it, I think.
I thought America Chavez was fantastic. She was a really great addition. Xochitl Gomez, I think it's how she says it. Now, this is a America that is, like, in the comics, she's around 20 and she's very confident. She's much more kind of together. This is a much younger America Chavez, but still really great. She was a really entertaining character, and I really enjoyed watching her. We see, again, I'm not spoiling anything. We see a return of Baron Mordo. We see the return of his Rachel McAdams character, Dr. Christine Palmer. There is obviously the Multiverse of Madness. We
get Wong again.
We get see, of course, Benedict Wong as Wong. I love the fact that there's 2 Benedicts in this movie. Benedict, a relatively uncommon name, and there's 2 Benedicts in this movie: Benedict Cumberbatch and Benedict Wong. It was great seeing Wong again. I'm glad that he hasn't been just a one-note character. I'm glad we've seen him several times. They're doing some real cool things with him.
Well, I love that in Spider-Man he's the Sorcerer Supreme, and on a technicality.
Because Steven was dust for 5 years.
Yep.
Yeah. So that was, cool.
And Steven makes a point of that in Spider-Man.
Mm-hmm.
That was a technicality.
Yeah. He makes a point of it in this movie too.
Yeah.
I think it makes more sense that Wong would be the Sorcerer Supreme right now too. I mean, I'm kind of glad that that Steven isn't, because I'd like to see maybe one more movie where he kind of earns it. But the problem with that is that means Wong is either going to die or going to step down somehow or become incapacitated. And I really like Wong.
I love Wong. I think he's fantastic.
He's great. So, I mean, I hope if it does happen, it's like, it's not like Wong doesn't die. He maybe becomes like, he steps down or steps away or has to, whatever. Because Steven is a magic, he's obviously a you know, he's a prodigy essentially of magical study. I'm not spoiling anything here as well. We did see Patrick Stewart as Professor X, and so that was pretty awesome. When he rolled onto the scene, I got a little flutter in my heart. Did you catch the music that played when he rolled in?
It was what was it? It was like the X-Men theme or something.
It was the theme to the cartoon.
The cartoon, yeah.
They're in the 90s because he's sitting in the yellow chair that so he was the.
See, now you're going into spoilers, dude.
He's supposed to be the Professor X from the cartoon, so that was kind of fun. But yeah, I went da 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 da. I was yeah. So we can't go too much into that stuff, but without being spoilerific. But there are some really great cameos. It is
a really good movie,
and it's brutal in a few spots too.
Yeah, it's definitely one of the darker MCU movies.
I think a lot of things have already been spoiled too already. There's a lot of people who've already been spoiled. We do know that Scarlet Witch is pretty much the bad guy in the film. But the interesting thing is,
that's a spoiler, dude. They made a big point of.
There's a lot of people that have already said it.
But why do we have to spoil anything? This is a no spoiler zone, and you do this all the fucking time.
I just don't feel like that's a spoiler. I think that's been super clear.
They made a fucking big deal about hiding that in all the trailers.
In the trailers, yeah, but now if you read anything online now, everybody is saying, like, I can't tell you how many articles I've read that are like talking about it.
Yeah, see, Renee, I didn't know.
Well, it's after the fact. I mean, now that the movie's out, oh, that's right. Renee didn't see it with you.
No, she didn't.
Sorry, Renee. But I've been reading. I mean, like most of the websites that I look at keep talking about it. It actually ticked me off a little bit because the movie.
So you're saying
behind the movie,
just because everyone else is doing it, that we should do it too? If everyone jumped off a cliff, would you do it too?
Is there a Marvel movie at the bottom of the cliff?
No, but Black Widow is.
Oh. Dude. I would say too soon, but it's not too soon. It's too soon for too many spoilers. We'll do a full review in another 2 weeks once everybody has seen this movie already.
And I've seen it a second time because I really do want to see it again.
Time. I do too. I think I want to see it a second time. I'd really like to see a full Raimi cut. I'd like to see, because I did hear that Raimi and Feige wanted to make Marvel's first like kind of horror film. And the studio pretty much was like, maybe back it up a bit. Disney, I think, was like, back it up a little bit. So I think that's why they cut 35 minutes out of the movie, because it would have been a little too scary. I do think that it is one of the first Marvel movies that you may not want to take little or small, or like smaller kids to. They might want to wait a little bit, maybe once they're 10 or so, but not the little guys, because there was a couple of points where it's like, little kind of, like I said, there's some brutal parts, and but I did really get a kick out. There were a couple of things that I did notice, like people talked about. There were a lot of speculation, because there were a lot of people saying, well, this character is going to show up and that character is going to show up because it's the multiverse, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I had heard that Spider-Man was going to make.
I had heard he was going to make an appearance too. I was actually disappointed he didn't.
Yeah, me too. I was kind of bummed out he didn't, and I would have liked to have seen Tom Holland, kind of like because this movie is a direct sequel to No Way Home, and I would have thought like maybe he would have showed up just for something, and then Doctor Strange could have been like, Spider-Man, right? Whatever. So that was a bummer. There were a lot of rumors about like that Tom Cruise was going to be seen as a alternate version of Iron Man, and because it was going to be like an homage to the fact that he almost got cast as Iron Man back in 2008, things like that. There were other rumors and stuff like that, various different other rumors that just didn't happen. So
Yeah, Dutch, there is actually the rumor going around that Tom Cruise is going to show up as what is it? One of the other Iron Men.
The superior
Iron Man. That's what it is. Yeah, the villainous Iron Man.
Yeah. But he didn't, thankfully, and it would have just been too much. So, but
it doesn't mean he's not going to show up later.
Right. It was also kind of cool. This was one of the first times that they actually named the Marvel Cinematic Universe in the multiverse. We got to hear its designation for the first time.
As 616.
As the 616. And I was like, oh, that's really fucking cool. That's the first time we've heard that. Because in the comics, the mainstream Marvel Universe is the 616, which I believe is they named it after the area code for where Marvel Comics was in New York City, where Marvel Comics was originated. So, but anyway, so we should probably end it. Otherwise, I'm going to open my mouth again. I'm going to Tom Holland this situation if I say too much more.
616 is the west coast of Michigan. That's where the area. That's where that area code is. That's a Michigan area code.
No, you're right.
That's why I always thought it was funny that it was the 616. Universe. Maybe because that's like Grand Rapids and
maybe it is now, but maybe I could have.
They didn't move it, dude. It's always been 616 out there.
You see, you know what? I remember something about it. I'll look it up. But yeah, if we keep talking, I'm going to end up Tom Hollanding this situation. So we do want to give you guys a chance to see it without seeing too many spoilers. So go check it out, guys. It's a lot of fun. It's a really good new Marvel movie.
It's named after the shutdown temperature of a town in Siberia of negative 61.6 degrees Fahrenheit.
That's why it was named after.
That's what this one article I just found says.
Marvel Universe 616. I remember people are actually upset they call the main episode is Marvel main. See, there are some people that are saying that the MCU, which is different from the comic books, that it shouldn't be 616. That the MCU is should be a different name alter. It should be a different designation. But fuck, I don't know, man.
I don't know. But anyway, so we can look that stuff up later.
Yeah.
Yeah. Otherwise, I don't want to spend time researching stuff while we're on the show. So, exactly. So anyway, go see Doctor Strange. I say it was really good. You got to get through the first little bit. I think the first part of the movie is a little bit off, but the rest of it really makes up for it.
Dutch, I am going to the con this weekend. Comic-Con is here in Michigan.
Is it this weekend?
Yes. Motor City Comic-Con in Novi. I'm going on Saturday. I'm planning on going on Saturday.
Yeah, we're going to need you to work on Saturday.
It's a drag. I'd love for us to get a table at the Comic-Con someday.
That'd be really cool.
It'd be cool. It is expensive. It's pricey.
And we got to plan that for like 2 years from now.
Yeah, we'd have to make, because we'd have to have things we could give away and stuff like that. You're going on Friday. Sorry, man. But yeah, I got to work, and Friday is a good day to go because it's usually particularly if you go earlier in the day, since a lot of people are working, it's a lighter day. You get the full experience without as much of the crowds. And I like going on Sunday too, because then it's not quite as crazy, but I could face paint. You're right, Sadie, I could face paint. The thing about that is they actually do have tables where people do face painting, and I don't know if that's like a separate charge or separate. I think the tables, depending on where you get your tables, is different. There's different charging or whatnot. I'm not sure if we go in Artist Alley or if we go in like as a podcast guest or something like that. I'm not sure. I'm gonna have to look.
I'll start looking into it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Because that would be cool. Even if we start with
cool.
some of the smaller cons or something like that too.
Sure.
Like the Great Lakes Comic Con or something like
that.
that.
Yeah, something like that. But it's a pricey fucking thing. But it would be cool to go all day and maybe see if we can get a few interviews in, talk to a few of the celebrities. This is a big con, guys. I mean, the Motor City Comic Con. The Motor City Comic Con used to be one of the biggest in the country.
It's not San Diego, it's not New York, but it's still a big con.
Well, it used to be back in like the 80s and early 90s. It used to be up there with New York and San Diego. It used to be San Diego, Chicago, New York, and Detroit were the four biggest in the country, because we were just the Midwest has always been a big comic book hub, and it was. But now that there are so many other Comic Cons that have risen to in size, and Motor City struggled for a little while, that it is not quite the size it used to be. But it ain't cheap either. It is. I'm going to look at the tickets here. We're looking at for an adult admission, we're looking at Friday $30, Saturday $40. It's a $4 fee if you get it online, and it's $35 on Sunday. I'm gonna go on Saturday, like I said, for $40. I usually just go buy a ticket at the door. I have never had a problem. I walk up, the line usually isn't that long because almost everybody ends up getting their pass ahead of time, and then they end up having to wait in line to get to do it. They do have a $250 VIP fan pass, which is a VIP badge. Gets a lanyard and a gift certificate to the merch booth. It gets you a fast pass for autographs and photo op lines, so that's kind of cool. VIP seating in the panels, excluding paid events. But I'm like, nah, that's good. I'm good. It's gonna be a big fucking show, though. I'm kind of excited. We had one in October. It was a smaller show. Because it was the first one post-COVID, and I didn't end up going, and I really kind of wanted to. I'm going to run through the celebrity guests real fast, just so y'all can hear it. Just the big ones here. Oh, Alan Ritchson canceled. He's the guy he's playing Jack Reacher in the Jack Reacher show on
Prime
Amazon. We got Alicia Silverstone. She's a kind of a big deal. Clueless, Batman and Robin. We got Brendan Thwaites, who plays Dick Grayson on Titans. Plays Nightwing in the original first Robin. I
think he's pretty good too. Yeah, I think he's good as
he's good. I like him actually. Katie Lotz, who plays Sarah Lance, the White Canary on Legends of Tomorrow and Arrow, which Legends of Tomorrow they've just ended it. They didn't renew it for next year. Carrie Jones, who was the actor in the suit playing Black Kristan in Mandalorian. He's going to be there. We also have Carrie L was canceled. That's too bad. We have Chandler Riggs, who played Coral on The Walking Dead. Coral, The Walking Dead. We also have, of course, a big name, one of the doctors, Chris Eccleston. Probably the first of the new doctors in this new era.
He was the ninth doctor.
Yeah. We have Curran Walters, who is he plays Jason Todd on the Titans. So or the Red Hood. We've got a couple of actors, a bunch of actors from the original Superman movie. Damian Clawhorn, who was in Superman 4, The Quest for Peace. He was a kid. We also have Aaron Smolinski, who played young Kal-El when he kind of crawled up out of the ship when he was a baby. Danny Trejo, big name, Danny Trejo. Everybody who doesn't love Machete.
From the Book of Boba Fett.
From everything.
From the Book of Boba Fett, man. Come on. He's a Rancor trainer.
Let's see. just real quick to rattle out Desperado, Heat, From Dusk Till Dawn series, Con Air, Once Upon a Time in Mexico, the Spy Kids movies, Machete, Machete Kills, the Badass trilogy, Dead Again, and Tombstone. In television, he's appeared in Dusk Till Dawn, the series, Sons of Anarchy, King of the Hill, Breaking Bad, The Flash, Blue Bloods, What We Do in the Shadows, Brooklyn Nine-Nine, The Book of Boba Fett. Trejo's voiced characters in the animated film Storks and the Book of Life, the series American Dad, Rick and Morty, Puss in Boots, Young Justice, and Family Guy. He also voices characters of Boots in Dora and the Lost City of Gold. I mean, the guy, everybody knows Danny Trejo. I'm honestly would be really excited to meet this guy. There's some various different voiceover guys. We got Freddie Prinze Jr.
So you going to stand in line to meet Danny Trejo?
Maybe. I don't know, man. Maybe. Freddie Prinze Jr. All right. Freddie Stroma, who was in who's in one of the Harry Potter movies. He played Cormac McLadden, and he is also more recently played it was in Peacemaker. He was the vigilante in Peacemaker. So kind of interesting to meet that guy. Funny story is that he is a British actor, and John Cena had no idea he was British until the rap, because he stayed in dialect the entire time. J. Michael Tatum is a voiceover actor, done a bunch of different things. We also have Jack O'Halloran, who played Non in Superman 2. We have Jamie Kennedy, the actor Jamie Kennedy, who is known for Scream and Malibu's Most Wanted, plus a bunch of other things that he's been in. Kind of well known. He was. There's going to be kind of a Scream reunion at this one. Apparently, we have Katie Cassidy from Arrow. She was Dinah Lance. So that's kind of cool. We have Kristen Ritter. When I found out about this one, I was like, holy shit.
Yeah.
She's a $75 autograph and $85 photo op. She's only on Saturday. She played, of course, Jessica Jones and The Defender. She was also in Breaking Bad. She's done a bunch of different things. Gilmore Girls, Gravity, Veronica Mars, Netflix's Night Books, and directing Girl in the Woods for Peacock. So she was the Don't Trust the Bee in Apartment 23 as well. So awesome. I'd be down to meet her. That would be really cool. Malcolm Goodwin from Reacher and iZombie. Mark McClure, who played Jimmy Olsen in the old original Superman movies. Mariel Hemingway, who was in Superman 4 and kind of a well-known actress from the 80s. Mark Pillow, who played Nuclear Man in
there's a lot of people.
A lot of people. Matt Lillard.
Yeah, you said quick, and you've been going for like 5 minutes, man.
I'm actually almost done with the celebrity guests. Matthew Lillard, because like I said, they're doing a Scream reunion. He's really cool.
He will always be serial killer to me, though.
Yeah, from Hackers. From Hackers. I got to meet Matt Lillard when we were filming All's Fair in Love at the Ren Fair. He's a really great guy, and also Skeet Ulrich. So 3 of the guys from Scream are going to be there. Ray Che, blah, blah, blah. Robbie Damon from Critical Role will be there. That's kind of cool. And Taryn Manning has done a bunch of stuff, but more recently she was in Orange is the New Black. And of course, last but surely not least, the man himself, the man, the myth, the legend, William Shatner will be there. So Captain motherfucking Kirk.
Mr. Tambourine Man!
Jesus. He is going to be there. It's a $120. He's only there Friday and Saturday, and only for a little while on Friday. I mean, he's an 80-year-old guy, so whatever. Autographs $120, photo op $130. As much as I'd like to meet Bill, I'm not paying $130 to meet. He's 91. He's actually 91. Being the oldest person to ever fly into space, because he did go into space in October.
Yeah, on a giant penis. Yes.
What the hell? So that's a big deal. I'm not going to go into the comic book ones, because that's, although that's interesting to me, there's going to be less people are going to know all this.
Now, I will say that there will probably be, I'm guessing that there's going to be some memorial stuff set up for George Perez.
I certainly hope so. I mean, Chris, that's an excellent segue. Thank you very much. Yes, unfortunately, ladies and gentlemen, one of the greatest comic book artists to ever grace the industry passed away on Friday. George Perez, actually. I used to call him George Perez until I actually heard him say his name, his own name, and he said Perez, and I went, okay then. He actually does have an accent mark over the thing. So he passed away on Friday. We knew, the industry and the fans knew that George Perez was dying. He actually his doctors gave him about 6 months, so he chose to spend those last 6 months with his family and doing what he could for the community before leaving us. And I'd say, I don't know for sure, but I would say it was pretty close to 6 months. I
remember us talking about it.
Yeah.
When he announced to his fans that he was terminal.
Yeah. And it was pancreatic cancer, if I remember correctly. It was, I knew it was coming, but I have to admit, I was really sad when I heard the news. And I still am. He was when I got the chance to meet him, I was glad that I got the chance to talk to him and to express to him how much his work meant to me over the years, as an artist myself, as a fan, as a comic book aficionado. It was really cool to talk to him. When I walked up on he was sitting at his table, and I was like, and there was nobody around, and I'm just like, holy shit. I mean, I'm like, wow, the George Perez is not being, mobbed by comic fans and has a big line. And I go, Mr. And at the time I just said Perez, Mr. Perez. I mean, I'm a huge fan, and I had a box, I had a short box that I had a bunch, because I knew he was going to be there. So I had a bunch of his books that I wanted him to sign. And he just kind of smiled, and he looked at me and he pointed a little sign, and it just said, sketching will be, doing commissions will be signing in at 4. And I just looked at him and I looked at the sign and went, very well, I'll see you at 4. And I turned around, he smiled, and I turned around and I came back at 4. Now there's a bit of a line, but he signed at least 30 comics that I had. He was super cool about it. He signed several things that I had. I have my over there, my Justice League Avengers crossover hardcover. He signed that in like 4 different places. And we chatted for a while, and he was just a super amazingly nice person. And I was thrilled to meet him. And I was honest to God, it was so cool to meet him. And I consider it a great honor that I got to meet and talk to George Perez for a while. And the cool thing is one of my friends from Florida actually knows him personally. She considered him as Uncle George, or her Uncle George. And so when she told me, like, yeah, I know George Perez, and I went, you what? It freaking blew my mind. And to hear her talk about it. Apparently, he used to do community theater, and she would do community theater with him, and her and her parents, and when she was a little girl. I was like, what? And so it was really so. It was last week. The week before, we lost Neil Adams, and this week we lost. This week past, we lost George Perez. So. Thank you for everything you did, George. Amazing artist. Guys, if you're not to the chat, Russ, I don't want to do the chat. Do not want to do the chat. If you aren't familiar with George Perez's work, just look him up. He was one of the most influential and prolific comic artists of the last 40 years. Actually the last 60 years, because he started his career roughly in the late 60s, and so more like 50 years. And he was really an incredible artist. And I mean, Crisis on Infinite Earths, he created Nightwing with Marv Wolfman. He created Cyborg. Starfire, Raven, the most of the new Teen Titans.
Let's say the Teen Titans.
So he was he drew every character. I mean, there isn't a single in DC and Marvel. He had long runs on almost every big group. He almost always did grouped books too. He was responsible for revamping Wonder Woman in the mid '80s. He was incredible. So
Renee said that NPR had a really nice tribute to him yesterday.
NPR did? Oh, that's great. 67 years old. I am pretty bummed out about the whole situation. So there is a you know what? I'm going to link onto our Facebook page the thing on Newsarama about him. So if you guys want to check him out, you can check out on the Facebook page. Just a lot of details about his career. There's some shots of his art. There's also going to be, it's not super long too. It's kind of a, it's a blurb. It's a not exactly an obituary, but it's a good kind of primer on his work. So
all right,
you were saying, Chris.
No, I was just gonna say, so do we want to go to Strange New Worlds or do we want to go to Moon Knight?
Let's do Moon Knight. Let's finish off Moon Knight, and then we can do some
finish things up with Strange New Worlds.
Yeah,
the first episode. Renee said one of the first artists to draw women with other body types other than curvy and chesty.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, he did do that too, but his work was very, I'd say, modest. A lot of the women that he drew, they weren't over the top, like over sexualized, I would say, for the most part. A lot of his designs weren't very sexualized. I mean, he did create Starfire, and Starfire was known for having basically a metal bikini costume, but it was also kind of there was very much wrapped up into her character as to what she was. And I don't think he wasn't one of those characters or one of those artists that really pushed the hypersexualization of female characters in comics. He wasn't like Turner or Deodato or some of the other ones that with really extreme poses, butts out and boobs out and everything. He wasn't misogynistic about it, and I like that. So you were saying
so Moon Knight.
Holy shit! I liked it. I loved the ending.
I liked the last two episodes. I still think that to call the show Moon Knight and have it was kind of like the Book of Boba Fett in that we got about as much Moon Knight as we got Boba Fett.
Yeah.
I mean, there were full episodes that we didn't have Moon Knight. So I think that's a cheat. I think the same thing about Book of Boba Fett. I think Boba Fett got cheated in his own show when they really turned it into Mandalorian 2.5. But I think that's part of it. But with this, to not have the guy in the suit for almost two full episodes, I thought was crazy. But the end episode, I thought they wrapped things up really well. I liked the last episode. I actually liked the last two episodes.
I do too.
Which is what we're talking about here. So basically, at the end of of episode 4, you see the Mark and Steven are together in a mental hospital, and in a hospital. They open up a door, and there's a giant hippo woman standing there.
Now, obviously, she was a goddess. She was
all dressed in Egyptian garb and stuff like that. And turns out they're actually on the boat that's taking them to the afterlife because they're dead.
Right.
And she actually takes both their hearts and weighs them, and they're out of balance. So she's like, you have to go back inside and figure out how to balance your heart. And so they do all this stuff, and it's a lot of lore dump. For it, a lot of backstory stuff, which was cool. And you're seeing how things happened and why there's a split personality and what it's all meant to do, and it's it's the protector and the protected type of thing.
Right. I mean, we got a lot of in episode 5. We got a lot of background on Stephen and a lot of his early life and why, or not Stephen, Mark,
yeah,
and why Stephen became a thing. Because at first you were like, who's the guy? I mean, who's the first guy?
Yeah.
We didn't know if it was Stephen. We didn't know if it was Mark. Not me personally, as a comic fan, I knew it was Mark, but I thought it was really cool how they figured it out. I thought the acting in it was immensely good. Immensely good. The kid playing young Mark was really great. I mean, when we see Mark shift for the first time into Stephen, and the whole character changes, and he did such a great job. I think that kid needs to get a lot of attention. It was for that show. It was really great. And I loved how we saw the reason why. I mean, it was very clear the trauma that he suffered as a child as to why he would disassociate like that. He was abused by his mother, a grieving mother that was not dealing with the death of her other child, and
blamed him for the death.
Blamed him for it. He blames himself.
Yep.
So I mean, the kid went through quite a bit. He had a father who tried but wasn't trying enough. Trying to deal with protect his wife and stuff like that, and then also try and protect his son, but didn't do enough, honestly. And so it was pretty sad. But
and I agree with both Dutch and Renee on that. It should have been longer. It should have been 8 episodes.
I agree. I think 8 episodes would have been better.
It would have given more time to tell that story and deal with the backstory for like Dutch said, for those who weren't initiated into who Moon Knight was.
Right, exactly. Now that being said, I think that the way they wrapped it up was fun, but I would have liked to have seen more. I think they rushed a lot of the whole stuff with Harrow and him releasing the dark, the goddess, basically.
Yeah.
That
Amet.
Yeah. And
no, the graphics of Amet was fucking awesome.
Honestly, anytime Khonshu or Amet, or I always forget the hippo goddess's name, anytime they were on screen, I was impressed all the hell. Because they looked great.
The hippo goddess, every once in a while, she'd do the ear flick that hippos do, that you see hippos do, just the little ear flicks. I thought that was fantastic. And then when what's her name? Mark's wife became her avatar. That was hilarious.
Yes, that was pretty fucking cool. It was cool. What was really impressive was when she was let's see, what was her name again? May Chalamet, who played Layla. When she was going between, when she was kind of making the deal with the goddess and Amet was her name.
Yeah.
No, stop. No, Amet was the evil god.
Yeah.
We'll have to look it up. But
yeah.
Taweret. It's Taweret. 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 But they were. I loved how she kept shifting from herself to Taweret, because she's like hunched over and then she's like, oh yes, and then we have to respond, and she goes, only temporary, and it was just like, I mean, it was fucking amazing to see her just the physicality of that acting switching between those two characters. But then she came out in her outfit.
That was
And it was
badass.
Badass.
That was a cool ass looking costume.
So what she was is she was actually referenced to a character called the Scarlet Scarab. And that's who she was supposed to be, because there's a lot of red elements to her costume. It's a golden and red. It harkens back to a character that was introduced back years and years ago. It's an obscure Marvel Comics history of it. The character was, I got a little thing about it here. She was, the character was originally a, hang on. Oh, here it is. Appeared in 1977's Invaders number 23, a story that's set at the height of World War II by Roy Thomas and Frank Robbins. It's an Egyptian warrior by the name of Abdul Fawwal. While the name bears some resemblance to that of Layla's father, Dr. Abdullah al-Fawwali, Abdul Fawwal was far from the archaeologist he is in the series. The comic books, he's kind of an Egyptian Captain America, one nation symbolic protector. So they have a story with him during World War II, and then he appears again years later in 82 in Thor number 326, and it's the original character's son who's taken up the mantle and is basically empowered by a god, by the Egyptian gods. So that's where that comes from. Now, my guess is that they really want to backdoor in this character of the Scarlet Scarab into an appearance in either another season or maybe her show up in another movie. I loved how at one point they're fighting Harrow, or they're fighting whatever, and this little kid looks at her and says, "Are you an Egyptian superhero?" And she just looks at her and she goes, "I am."
Yeah.
And in Egyptian. And I was like, oh, it's badass. Really fucking cool. I've always appreciated the Egyptian aesthetic, and when they work it into a superhero costume, I really like that. There's not a ton of them, but when they do work it in, I think it's pretty cool. Like Dr. Fate, they've worked in a lot of Egyptian like costume shit into Dr. Fate and his costume in the DC universe, and there's not a ton.
I was gonna say, is it more recently? Because
more recently.
Okay,
more recently.
Because I remember Dr. Fate having a little, and I mean he always used the Ankh, but I mean other than that, his costume was kind of bland actually.
Yeah, it was just a blue and gold with the helmet and stuff. But over the last like 20 years, they've probably like his classic original costume going back to like when he was established was fairly not a big deal. But over the last like 20 years or so, they've tended to kind of work in more of an Egyptian stylized kind of stuff. So Black Adam has a lot of Egyptian influence, and there's not a ton of characters that lean into Egyptian aesthetic, but I do like it when I see it. So yeah, I thought it was really, we did see in the final episode, we did see a lot more of Mark, and we did see a lot of Mark a lot more of Moon Knight.
Yeah.
Still
jumping back and forth. The jumping back and forth between Mark and Steven was hilarious.
Well, one of the things that I really appreciated was the fact that Steven and Mark basically came together, and because in the 5th episode, Steven gets knocked off the boat.
Yeah.
And essentially, that his
they start fighting
dies.
Together.
Yeah, and then he gets knocked off the boat, and where his soul is going to dissipate or just be.
Yeah, he gets trapped in the sands for all times.
And Mark is in the afterlife, and he's in a peaceful afterlife. Now, first of all,
the Field of Reeds.
The Field of Reeds. That seems like a boring afterlife to me. I mean, if I'm thinking I want a fucking afterlife that's like badass. I don't want an afterlife that's just wander around in this field forever, and boring to me. But he does talk to he's in peace, but he realizes that that Steven deserves to be here too, and he's like, can I go back? And they're like, you won't be able to come back here if you do. And he's like, I got to go back. So Steven goes back, or Mark goes back for Steven, and they're able to find each other. And
then their hearts become balanced.
balanced, right? And they become one. And I love it how Tararet shows up on her boat because there's like this huge like wave of sand coming and they're running and they're running. And she swings
Cyrus,
by.
you softy.
Softy, yeah. So it was, yeah, big softy, you know, and I was like, oh, that's funny. I missed it too. And Stella was the one that pointed it out. It's like, oh, that's great. Because that's the thing. We do notice that in these shows, they we don't see much of the major gods,
right?
You know, we're just seeing the kind of the more minor gods. And
well, if you look at all the ones that are in stone, it looks like a lot of the major gods are actually trapped in stone. Like it looks like Ra's there, Isis is there.
Isis, yeah. And you're not seeing the major ones. And I was just like, oh man, that sucks. And because yeah, I kind of wanted, well, where's Anubis? And
and that's the thing. What's her name is the one driving the boat, not Osiris.
Right. So you're wondering, like, why did they get put into these kind of things?
And Thoth is usually the one that weighs the heart at death.
That too. And there's Thoth. Where's Anubis? Where's Set? Well,
Set I can see being in prison because he was considered
he god of evil.
Yeah. And Anubis is the guardian of the dead, so I could see him being somewhere else.
Yeah.
But
yeah, so it was kind of a drag, but still, I mean, Bast, where the fuck was Bast, you know?
Yeah.
So, but we did get to see some of the other ones. I was wondering why she didn't start grabbing all of them, you know? She found Khonshu. She's like, oh, let's grab this one too, and just, you know, and Stella was like, oh, if she had released them all, it just would have probably been chaos. And I was like, oh, that's probably true. So, but we did see Mark basically, like, the souls came together, and the hearts were balanced, and he came back out, and he basically he agreed to work with to help Khonshu. Stephen and Mark basically like worked out a deal. It's like, we'll do it, we'll help you, but you gotta let us go afterwards. And he's like, fine. And I loved how they were swapping in between the costumes. You know, it's like you'd see him in Mark's traditional suit, and then you'd see him in Stephen's like Dr. Moon Knight, you know, and I was like,
in the suit.
In the suit, right. Yeah, you said put on the suit, and I just thought, you know, this is what you did, you know. I thought that was really great. And but yeah, we do see them defeat Harrow. They trapped Emmet in Harrow, and then you know, in the great moment where you think, okay, when Khonshu's like, you've got to end him, and Stephen went, nah, you do it, you know, or whatever. I think it's a big, you know, and he's like, no, let us go. And he's like, and so Khonshu like, you know, accedes to it and lets him out. And I was just like, wow, fucking cool, man. But and you think, okay, now they're going to go off. He can have his peace or whatever. But
Khonshu lets them go.
Khonshu lets them go, and then he goes into his dream kind of world where it was like in the insane asylum, and he's in control, and you know the Dr. Harrow that's in there, and he's like, nah, you know, they come into like a kind of you realize he knows what's up, and he knows what's going on, and this is more of a thing. It was some really fucking cool shit, man. I dug it, but he realizes something. He goes, maybe I'm just gonna save the world, and you're like, okay, what does that fucking mean?
Yeah.
Is it gonna still being, you know, keep being Moon Knight? Is he gonna try and be Moon Knight without Khonshu's magic, you know, and all that kind of stuff? And he wakes up, and is like, and he's in Stephen's.
It's
like,
Mark waking up, and
it's Mark waking up, and he's like, God, you live here, huh? Or whatever.
We're gonna have to clean up this mess or something.
Clean up, because, and he gets up, and he's still, and his leg is still tethered to the. I was like, well, fuck. So then there's a post-credit scene.
Yeah, so that's where it ends.
That's where it ends.
Yeah.
And then there's a post-credit scene. And now we talked about in the comics, that in the comics, Mark has 3 personalities.
Well, and even in this, both of them have had blackouts where neither one of them remembers what happened.
Right.
And I think one of those was when was in episode 2 or 3 where Mark is gone and then Steven's there with the knife in the guy. And he's like,
right.
Steven, what did you do? And you know Steven didn't fight that guy.
Right. Exactly. It was, so yeah, and that's the thing, in the big penultimate kind of moment where Harrow it looks like he's going to kill Steven, and they're going to kill, and the Scarab can't get to him either to help, and then there's a flash, and then everybody's on the ground. And Layla's like, Mark, what was that? And he's like, and there's, I don't know. I blacked out. And so we don't see that.
Yep.
So then I'm like, oh no, it's Jake. It's somebody else. Because in the comics, Jake Lockley is his 3rd personality.
Jake's the cabbie, isn't he?
Nick's the cat. Yeah, Jake's the cabbie.
Yeah.
So, yeah, so it's like, oh man, what a fucking bummer, dude. It's like to not have him was it kind of bummed me out. That would have been cool if they would have been able to, if they'd had 8 episodes instead of 6, they could have maybe established him earlier too and established that. So we see, we know that happened. And then so in the post-credit scene, we see Harrow obviously at a real mental institution or hospital or something like that. And we see him sitting there, and he looks like he's probably drugged up. And we see somebody come up and go come up and say, I'm going to take him. And he's got wearing gloves, and the doctor is like, or the doctor or nurse is like, hey, yeah, put it out of your mind, sweetheart. And so he starts to wheel Harrow out on a wheelchair, and he's like,
he takes him out.
He takes him out, puts him in a car.
Dumps him in a car.
Dumps him in a limo, a fucking stretch limo. And he's like,
a Rolls, actually, I think.
Yeah, I think it was a Rolls. And Harrow looks in the back seat, and there's Khonshu in the Mark suit, or the Steven suit. It's the big like bird skull, and he's in the Steven suit. And I was like, oh, that's fucking cool. And then and they start talking, they're chatting, and you find out that Khonshu kind of was like, he goes, they thought I wanted Layla. Why would I want Layla when I've got everything that I need with Mark? He's a very complex individual, or something like that. And I was like,
well, then he's like, and
yeah, meet my
driver.
Meet my driver. And he rolls down the window, and it's of course Mark, Steven, whatever, but it isn't Mark and Steven.
It's Jake.
It's Jake.
And he says he's Jake.
Yeah.
And he pulls out a gun.
Jake. And
boop,
then there's
boop.
and then outside there's the shot outside the car, and there's flashes of light, and you know that Harrow just got his brains blown out.
Yep.
So I thought that was a cool ending, because I at first at the end of it I thought, okay, well we'll definitely see Harrow again. We'll see if they have a second season. There'll be some kind of problem again with this character. No. So I thought that was a really kind of a cool way to go, okay, if there's a second season, it's going to be a whole new fucking ball game.
Yep.
And I was really pleased about that. I thought it was really fucking cool.
And speaking of MCU, to get away from that a little bit, but stay in the MCU TV series, I saw the announcement that Loki will start filming season 2 next month.
Yes. I'm super excited. There's a lot of people that feel like Loki's setup of the multiverse and Doctor Strange's multiverse of madness, that there's some conflict, that there was some kind of conflict and everything. I don't think so. I mean, I think we haven't seen enough yet to where we can say that there's a conflict between the stories.
Mhm.
So
Tom Hiddleston, I think, posted something about June has glorious purpose or something like that.
Exactly. I think this is gonna be fucking cool, man. There's gonna be some the next season of Loki is gonna be bad fucking ass.
Yeah.
And
they're saying probably sometime next year. They don't know when. So yes, yeah. June 6th, Renee. That's what I saw that too. But yeah. So to get going, because we're at an hour and a half now, or getting close to it. Strange New Worlds. The new
Stranger Worlds.
The new Star Trek. I still haven't watched Picard yet, but you were saying that I should watch Strange New Worlds to get caught up, or at least watch the first episode so that we can talk about it. I will say, I think it's fantastic. I think it's got tons of potential.
Yes.
I love the portrayals. The bringing it in, the fact that the bridge crew has Uhura on it
as a cadet. She's still a cadet.
But we were talking about it, and Renee was like, "Talk about having some big shoes to fill."
Yeah, no kidding. Yeah, anybody. Well, the same thing. There's an actress that plays a young Guinan in season 2 of Picard, and she also pretty big shoes to fill as to play a role that Whoopi Goldberg established. So yeah, I mean, the actress who's playing a young Uhura to play the role that Nichelle Nichols, a pioneer in acting for Black women particularly, is got to be intimidating. So but I think she'd be pretty cool. I like how she's got like a whimsy to her. She's very young.
I like when that one. So they go to a planet where they're doing first contact, and they wind up bringing two of these races people up to the ship, and they wake up because their physiology is different, so they don't stay sedated as long. And the one guy escapes, and he winds up in one of the turbo lifts with Uhura, and she just looks at him and goes, "Hi," and starts talking with him about, because she knows about like their sports and stuff like that. And he's like, tag ball? And
yeah. I liked how that was pretty cool. She just kind of distracted him, got him distracted. I think the show really, you're right, has fantastic potential. They are going to be, from what I understand. I mean, I watched the Ready Room, and it was which is the follow-up shows to the Star Trek shows hosted by Will Wheaton. They were talking to the showrunner and to Anson Mount, who plays Pike, and he was saying about how
so good too. He
really is great. It's really great. They established him in season 2 of Discovery. He did a great job, and now he's going to be this really. I think he's going to be this really great version of Captain Pike on the show. But they did say that the shows were going to be very self-contained with some, but he also said there will be through lines of the various storylines of the characters. So you'll be able to watch, because he said that the problem with like watching the original series, which was very self-contained, every episode was very self-contained, was like 1 week you had to watch Captain Kirk watch Edith Keeler die in City on the Edge of Tomorrow, and then in the next episode he had to be over it. And so in this season, in this show, they're going to be seeing shows that are very self-contained, but there will be some carryover, some through line with the characters. So like we will see Spock, dealing with the fact that he's now engaged and that to
And
bring
Pike dealing with his mortality because he's seen his death.
yes,
which
exactly.
we see that a lot in the first episode. Is him trying to deal with that.
Exactly, and it's very much because he knows. They talk about it. They know that his that they're
Or not his
that
death, but his maiming.
Yeah, he knows when his maiming, or he knows when that's going to happen, which is considering essentially the death of his life as a Starfleet officer. So he knows it's something like 10 years from now, is what he said.
A decade or more.
A decade or more, because that was the thing Spock confronted him about, his change of his attitude and stuff when he came back from that Klingon planet. And he was like, yeah, so
that was a Vulcan monastery, I thought.
Yeah, or it was a Klingon monastery.
Was it?
Yeah, it was a Klingon monastery, and it was but because it was known for having like some kind of element that if you were exposed to it, you could see glimpses of the future.
Yeah,
I think it was a Klingon, because if I remember correctly, they were Klingons there. And I remember him saying Klingon monastery, or Klingon whatever planet. It was, you know what I'd really like to see speaking of Klingons, I'd like to see Klingons more in Discovery again. I'd like to see where the Klingons are like in season 5 of Discovery.
It was Klingon. It's the Klingon moon Boreth.
Yeah, that was it. So he got like this kind of glimpse of his future, and it really affected him. So I think we are going to see flashes of maybe him freaking out about it, but it did seem like he had kind of come to terms with a bit of it on this show, this episode. I thought it was just, it's got so much potential, and I'm really looking forward to see where they're going to go and what they're going to do with it next.
Yeah. So to talk about one of the things I was talking about earlier in recognizing people, the woman that wakes up in Pike's bed at the beginning of the show.
Oh, yeah.
Do you know who that was?
No, who was that?
That's where Renee was talking about, motherfucking right, I want a gin and tonic. It's Mrs. McMurray.
Was it really?
Yes. From Letterkenny.
Oh, fuck, dude. I didn't recognize her.
I'm like, she looks really familiar. I know who that is. And I pulled up the actress, and as soon as I saw her picture on IMDb, I went, fuck, that's Mrs. McMurray. And I looked and went, yep, sure enough, it is. But yeah.
You know what? It'll probably be better to come up if I put it in Letterkenny and I put her in. She's actually on Van Helsing. She's the lead character on the show Van Helsing.
Oh yeah?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Which is on, it's a Canadian, show of its type, of that, kind of type.
Yeah, it's because she wasn't mumbling because she was sober.
Right.
Well, and that's the thing. I'm seeing other people from Letterkenny on things now. Like one of the hockey players is on the Endgame.
The character Dixon, the auctioneer.
Yeah. Dickskin.
He was Dickskin. He was in he was an alien, one of the various alien characters that they encountered on Discovery.
Yeah, it's Fisky. Fisky is on the Endgame. No, he's one of them.
Which one?
The Endgame, which is the new Morena Baccarin show.
Oh yeah.
He's one of the main FBI guys.
Fucking cool, man. So yeah, I think it's Van Helsing. I think it's Van Helsing. Shit, now I gotta look it up, because maybe it's not Van Helsing. Maybe it's one of the other shows.
But anyway, overall, I really enjoyed Strange New Worlds, the first episode. I'm looking forward to watching the others. I think it is a really good show. I liked a lot of the characters. I thought Nurse Chapel was hilarious. I thought she was fantastic, actually. The doctor's cool. Now, at the end, they also at the end of the first episode, they bring on Samuel Kirk.
Now, that was a funny tease because they keep saying, oh, Lieutenant Kirk's coming. Lieutenant Kirk's coming. Now, they did make a post saying earlier in the season that James T. Kirk, will be appearing on the second season of Strange New Worlds. But
he's actually listed in one episode of this.
Oh, okay.
As well. He's listed on there right now as one episode.
Okay.
So
yeah, for them to say, who's this guy? I was like, wait a minute. So
which I was wondering who the hell Samuel Kirk was, and Renee looked it up, and it's actually Kirk's father. He's actually really? George Samuel Kirk.
Okay,
Jr.
He didn't look old enough to be.
He doesn't.
Jim's dad.
He really didn't. Now that's the thing. Jim, at this point, should be actually not even in the academy. If Pike's demise is 10 years from now, Kirk actually Jim shouldn't even be in the academy yet because he wasn't on the Enterprise that long before he took over.
Pike's got a 5-year. It's a 5-year mission, is what they still say. It's still a 5-year mission. So, man, I don't know. Now I'm fucking confused. I would just think that if Pike is the captain on the Enterprise, and it's not like they said it's a brand new ship.
No, it was actually just getting retrofitted.
It was getting retrofitted. Like he's been on it for a while. But if he's going to be, the captain for a while, I'm guessing the show's going to go at least 5 seasons. If it's a 5-year mission, maybe it'll go 5 years. I would think that
Depends
Kirk would
on ratings.
at least, yeah, I would think that Kirk would at least be an ensign or a lieutenant or something like that.
He wasn't on the Enterprise long, and I think he was only a lieutenant when he winds up taking over the ship because Pike gets incapacitated.
Well, I don't know.
Now, I did like I'll tell you what, it got kind of dark when his new head of security was telling him about her background.
Yeah.
With the Gorn.
Oh yeah, the fact that she would have basically been used as food.
Well, her family was. And everyone she knew. And she was the only one left. And the Gorn tradition was to basically send them off into space on a raft. You're not expected to live.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. Yeah, it was almost like a ritual. Like the only one to survive, we're going to put you out to see if you survive. And like her family and everybody else was used as food for their young.
Okay.
And that's I was like, holy shit, that's fucked up.
Yeah. Renee just said Sam Kirk is Jim's brother.
Okay. All right. See, that makes a lot more sense. That this is maybe Jim's brother, because I do remember him mentioning him mentioning that he had a brother. And
that's George Samuel Kirk Jr.
Okay. So, like I said, we're gonna see Jim Kirk as a lieutenant or something, or as a lieutenant commander or something like that.
I don't think he was ever lieutenant commander. I think he skipped all of those and went right to captain. I think that's the whole thing with Kirk, is that he went from lieutenant to captain. As Renee said, because in the Alpha timeline, Jim has a brother and his dad didn't die. Because there's the
Kelvin,
two times.
It was the Kelvin timeline.
Yeah, the Kelvin timeline, his dad dies.
Renee, are you doing research right now while we're on the show? Because I appreciate that. See George Kirk Sr. in the original series. Yeah, wasn't he like an admiral or something?
I don't know, maybe.
I think George Sr.
She said that really.
Not really. She just knows this shit. I mean, I'm a Trekkie, but that's next level, man.
I'm just Trekkie.
I'm just Trekkie. All right, right on. All right, Chris, we should probably wrap things up.
Yeah, we should wrap
It's
things
getting a
up.
little bit
But
late.
yes, if you have Paramount, it's worth the watch, I think, for this. I'm looking forward to checking out Picard as well. So
Star Trek, the video game, Shatner versus Gorn trailer. Oh, Shatner versus Gorn.
I just fell in a YouTube hole.
You gotta be careful, man. You're tripping those YouTube holes, you'll never get out.
Well, and that's like Renee falls into TikTok holes all the time.
Yeah.
And,
oh man, it's easy. It's even easier to fall into a TikTok hole because they are much shallower.
Oh, so
like, it's easier to trip over a TikTok hole.
So one of the things that, real quick before we get out of here, I brought this up on the show last night on Tavern Talk. Bob sends me stuff all the time from TikTok because I'm not on TikTok. I'm not on the TikToks. So he sends me stuff all the time, and I'll watch it because it's usually gaming based, and it's usually stuff that he finds that he thinks is interesting, and he thinks I might find interesting, and a lot of it's homebrew rules, things like that, including that one homebrew rule that I created that I brought into our game, which is where casters can cast a spell. If they're out of spell slots, they can still cast a spell, but it costs them 1 level of exhaustion per level of the spell.
Right.
So he sent me another one, and it's basically on this guy's homebrew rule for shields. And okay. I think it's something that's really beneficial in lower levels, but I think it loses something as you go up. But basically what it is instead of using shields the way they are in the actual books, you get no armor class bonus from having a shield. But what you get is called shield block, to where you can use your reaction to do a shield block. So if someone attacks you and hits, you can then use your reaction to shield block it, and you decrease the damage done by your proficiency bonus plus any magical bonus on the shield.
So it still hits.
Yes.
But you block. So my shield bonus is, I have a +1 or +2.
You have a +1 shield, and your proficiency bonus is 4. So you could stop 5 points of damage from a physical hit.
I'd rather have the extra 2 points in AC.
Right, and for you it's 3 points in AC. So
right, yeah. I'd rather have the extra 3 points in AC because that's not good enough.
Well,
it's not good enough.
Like I said, at low levels, I think that's extremely beneficial.
Sure, maybe at low levels.
Because you could stop, 3 points of damage, which is a lot when you're at low levels. So in your first few levels, I think that's fine. Later on, I think it loses it as you go up. And where you guys are now, it definitely loses it. Loses the effectiveness. When you're at 107 hit points, unless you're trying to block a hand axe being thrown by your friend. Which, yeah, I'm still pissed that I forgot about that, because that should have hit you instead of him. And he would have still been up, and you would have been...
It would have changed. It certainly would have changed dramatically changed that situation.
Yeah. William Shatner sings to George Lucas. Wow, YouTube hole hard to escape. Go see the Shat, Russ.
I ain't got that kind of scratch right now, man. That's it's already gonna cost me, it's gonna cost me $40 just to walk in the goddamn door. I'm probably gonna spend at least $100 at the con, altogether. So at least. So I think honestly, I don't go to the cons and spend ridiculous amounts of money because I'm not an autograph hunter. Mm-hmm. But still, I'm going to be there. I'm going to buy art. I'm going to buy sketchbooks from some of the artists. I'm going to buy whatever. So,
all right. Well, let's wrap things up.
Let's wrap things up, guys. Thanks for joining us tonight on another very special episode here of
Went a
Nerds
little
with
long,
Alcohol.
but
275. Went a little long, but not ridiculous. Guys, thanks for joining us. Guys, remember we can find us at all the places you can find quality podcasting. Guys, we're in the Google Play Store, we're in iTunes, Stitcher, Spotify, iHeartRadio, the Odyssey app, and the Samsung. What wasn't it? The Samsung app?
podcast. Yeah.
Samsung podcast app. Guys, we do this every Tuesday night at 8:00. Chris puts the episode. We're here on Twitch. Chris puts up the episode on YouTube usually a couple of days later. Every other Friday, we do a D&D show called Tavern Nights. Be sure to check us out. We are coming back this Friday the 13th. Looking forward to it. It's going to be a good time in the Nerd Basement at your place. We also, on the opposite Mondays, usually do a Tavern Talk show at about 8:30 on our Twitch channel here. So come check us out.
Yeah, which I also put up on YouTube.
Which
and it's actually, we just did it last night, so it's still on Twitch.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, you can follow us on most of the social medias as well. We are on Facebook, Nerds with Alcohol Show. We're on Twitter at Drinking Nerds, Instagram, Drinking Nerds, YouTube, Drinking Nerds. All of these shows are on YouTube as well as the Tavern Nights and Tavern Talk shows. So, which, by the way, I will say this, Russ, our stuff's actually picking up. We've actually been getting seeing a lot more downloads lately. We're actually getting close to 30,000, I think.
That's great.
I think we're at like 28,000. And then and actually, well, it's not, spectacular numbers and stuff, but we're seeing an uptick in even Tavern Nights videos on YouTube.
That's awesome, man. That's great.
Between Twitch and YouTube, we're actually close to probably 150 to 200 people now.
Apparently we're doing something right. I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't know what the fuck
we're getting there. We're getting there, slow and steady.
Thanks for checking us out, guys.
If you like the show, tell your friends, tell your family, tell your enemies, tell the people on the street.
Yeah, exactly. We are at 70 followers on
which Dave the
Twitch
Knave.
right
Dave Kish finally followed us here on
well, he
on
finally
Twitch.
he texted me, he finally got into Twitch, so he's checking it out, and he's getting caught up watching some of our old episodes, so it's pretty great.
Yep.
And he is following us. I don't know how many subscribers we have, but we do, but it is
we only got like 4 or 5
70 followers, right? So still pretty great.
So, all right. I got some surprises for Friday that I'm looking forward to for you guys. So check us out Friday, 7:30, right here on Twitch for the Tavern Night show. So, all right. I think that's gonna about do it.
That should do it.
Until next time.
Sláinte.
That was pretty good.
Nice.
Yeah. And don't give my stuff away, CD. Talking about beholders. All right. Have a good week, everybody.
Good night.